Welcome back inside the studio. Mike Barrett, Mike Rice, the head coach, Terry Stotts. Coach, thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. We were talking to Joe Freeman a minute ago from the Oregonian. He was talking about practice today, and no surprise here, but Wesley Matthews there, engaged, out on the floor, taking young guys aside, showing them plays. This has got to be killing him, I know, but it doesn't look like he's letting that show at all. He still has some enthusiasm, wants to help out.
Well, he's part of the team. And, obviously he's going through a little bit of anxiety. He's ready to have the surgery and move on to the next step. And, Wes isn't one to sit around. He's as I mentioned today after practice, he's going to be part of the team. After he has the surgery, after he can't travel with us for a little bit. He'll have the surgery. He'll go back home. Once he gets back here, he's going to be part of the team. He's going to be at practice. He's going to be traveling with us. He's going to be, I would assume, pretty active on the bench because this means a lot to him. And certainly that part of Wes Matthews we need.
Does this change the dynamics, his injury, of your master plan of the
My
players?
master plan?
Oh,
I told you, I have no master plan.
You have a master.
I'm winging it.
He just shoots from the hip all the time.
Whatever.
How does this change everything?
Well, in a lot of ways, we're back to where we were before we made the trade for Aaron Afflalo. And, Aaron is not Wes. Aaron brings what Aaron brings. And we're obviously very fortunate that we have Aaron. What it does is it brings us back to where we were, which was a very good basketball team.
Yes.
So we'll be relying on the guys coming off the bench. Obviously, Will Barton and Thomas Robinson aren't part of that. But Alonzo G has already come in and shown that he can defend multiple positions. And some of the other guys, the good thing for me as I look down the bench, all 13 guys on the roster have contributed to wins this year. They all have played meaningful minutes for us.
Yeah.
So in some ways it's difficult because, it's a tough decision from night to night, game to game. But also there's a lot of confidence knowing that anybody down on the bench is going to come in and have a good chance to help us win a game.
Joel Freeland in the shoulder, how's that coming along?
Joe's doing fine. I have to say I've been a little reluctant to put him in. He got in Sacramento in the first half. I think it's just going to be a progression. But again, that's where, for me, you have Joel, who obviously was integral part of our success last year and this year. Myers Leonard has played very well throughout the season. Darrell Wright has played very well during the season. And then, playing a spacing lineup. Now, we may not be able to play that with now that Wes is in here, but we had Nick Batum play for. So, to your point about Joel Freeland, he is ready and able to help us win games. It's just when that's going to happen, I can't tell you.
Chemistry is so vital, and we've talked about that. And bringing in Aaron Afflalo, it seems like he's a good enough guy. And, in fact, a guy who maybe early on didn't want to step on toes, and you're careful, especially when you see a tight-knit group and you see the chemistry healthy. You just want to kind of ease in. No more of that now because and maybe in some ways the adjustment will be easier for him because instead of trying to feel his way around in a second unit, he's thrust back into the starting lineup. How has he, I don't think it's any, surprise that he would grasp the offense quickly, but having a couple of days now to practice. The Minnesota game, he was kind of thrown into the starting group. How have things progressed, maybe even just today in practice, and of course you get tomorrow as well, you get a shoot around on Wednesday. How is that going?
I think the transition for him has been relatively smooth. The biggest adjustment for him was to come in to a winning team and come off the bench. He hadn't come off the bench in 4.5 years. So the mentality, that's a double whammy. One thing, to do something you haven't done in 4.5 years, come off the bench, and two, to come into a successful situation and not want to screw things up. You want to fit in, but you want to play your game. You want to be aggressive. So I thought he made that he was making that transition. You saw it in the fourth quarter against Oklahoma City, and he played meaningful minutes. And I think the transition as a starter will be even easier for him because he'll be able to fill in, find the spots. We've shown him some of the offense where, for example, where Wes got a lot of his shots where he can look to improve. And defensively, we're going to rely on him to Wednesday night. He's got a tough assignment Wednesday.
Yeah, he does.
So, being part of an elite team, being part of an elite defensive team is, something I think he really is looking forward to doing.
How big is moving around in the standings, winning games versus getting ready for the playoffs with a CJ? Or do you think about, should I tighten the rotation, or how do you think along those lines?
Well, I really don't think about tightening the rotation. I think you guys have been following me. It's hard for me to play 9 or 10 guys. I mean, more than 9 or 10 guys. 10 depending on minutes, and maybe now with Wes's injury, maybe that changed a little bit. But the point is that we have a lot of guys that are going to play a lot of minutes, and so I think at this stage it's not a question of tightening the rotation. The question is more like who's going to play on a given night. And believe me, I'm not looking toward the playoffs right now. Right now I'm looking towards Houston. Nothing's been clinched, nothing's been solidified. Right. Certainly having home court is one of the goals. Winning the division is one of the goals. So, and the only way to do that is to worry about beating Houston on Wednesday.
Nick Batum has, he wasn't terribly consistent for you in the first half. He had talked of being fatigued a little bit from the summer, but he has been terrific lately since the All-Star break. And sometimes for a guy like that, it takes a bust-out game where maybe the team, you put the team on your back a little bit. The Clipper game was that for Nick, it felt like. And not like he ever battles confidence, but it appeared at times this year he'd pass up shots and his teammates would try to urge him to take them. In that game, he was incredible, and down the stretch, I know you need him at that kind of level.
Well, it's really good that they had the game and that he's feeling good about himself, because we've always needed him. But obviously I think having him be Nick Batum for us is even more important now, especially when we go through this transition with Aaron and then with the bench. But he's going to, what he can offer us as a playmaker, as a defender, as a scorer, as a rebound, all those things that we all have always talked about, Nick, become a little bit more magnified now. And I'm grateful we had the All-Star break. I'm grateful that he was able to get a break mentally and physically. I think it may have served him better than anybody else in the league, and I think it's shown since then.
Looking at the West, the top 8-9 teams, does your idea of whom you might see in the playoffs change night to night, the way these things are? Like Tony Parker's getting hot right now. Do you say, ooh, maybe I don't want to play them?
Do you want me to repeat the last part of your understanding?
Yeah. Houston on Wednesday. Just Houston on Wednesday.
Thank you.
We're not looking. Playoffs are 20 games away.
Yeah.
CJ,
but it is a great Western race.
It's true. I mean, you said 9 teams. I think all 10 teams. You look at New Orleans and Phoenix at 9 and 10, and obviously both those teams are. When we play them, they give us concern. So it's still 10 teams, and it's still wide open.
Yeah. Mike mentioned CJ. He was playing well and was looking good, and then the trade happens, and he kind of came out of the rotation. Now he's back in. To step back through that door and be aggressive, how can you get him to be that CJ? And clearly for a young guy who has, maybe not had consistent minutes, now he's going to get them again. And so will other guys. Like you mentioned, the guys that have all contributed. Alan Crabb has been big for you. Darrell Wright, Alonzo G all of a sudden as well.
Yeah, it's I know it can be a difficult situation, but, it's CJ's past that now.
Yeah.
CJ he's in his second year. He played 21 straight games, and yes, we made the trade, but now we need him to step in. He's a confident young player. He can give us offense. The game against Minnesota, he missed a layup, he missed a wide open 3. If those go down, now he's 3 for 5, and he has a good line. So the margin between what is perceived as good and bad is very thin sometimes, but we need him to come in and be the player, and we've seen what he can do for us.
We get beaten up a little bit by fans for giving the opponent credit on a night like the Minnesota game, where you look at a healthy team that maybe was starting to be more of what they thought they would be, and they shot extremely well. How difficult was that loss, and is that a game where you tip the cap and then turn the page?
Well, Honestly, I always tip the cap to the opponents because they're getting paid too. And they've been – the thing about Minnesota is they had been playing very well. They had some very close games against some very good teams, Clippers, Atlanta, Memphis, and they didn't close it out. Now, I think the Kevin Garnett factor, as I mentioned to the team, the Kevin Garnett factor I think is real because he's able to get on those guys and have everybody toe the line. So they did play well. And Kevin Martin, who has been a very good scorer in this league for many years, had a very good game. And Gary Neal, as we saw when he played with San Antonio, had a very good game.
And Pekovic hadn't been playing. He came back in that game.
Played. So, they played a very good game. I will give them credit. But I will also say that we did not play with the same urgency, particularly defensively, particularly in the first half, that we needed to, because I thought we gave them some things in the first half that we could have had a bigger lead, so when they got hot in the second half, it wouldn't have had the effect that it had. And that being said, we're down 3 with 3 minutes to go, and we just didn't make the plays when we needed to.
And you had a situation where the clock maybe didn't start quite when it should have with 0.7.
Didn't understand that one.
Yeah.
Well, they went to review it, and we said on TV, well, it can't change this because the clock didn't start on time. Because the thing we said was there were Houston people that got mad about the Lillard shot with 9/10. Dame caught was facing the hoop. Peck caught it with his back to the basket, took a move, and with 0.7. But
yeah, I don't know what the rule is as far as are they able to review if the clock started on time, or if they just review when the shot left his hands. I'm really not sure on the interpretation.
All right, thanks for being our guest. Here's a gift card. If you and Jen need a place to eat, Killer Burger.
Killer Burger.
Yeah, Killer
Nice.
Burger. They've got a what is it called? The peanut butter pickle bacon Killer Burger.
Excellent.
And there's one of those in Moda Center. So thanks for
Sounds
coming.
healthy.
It is very healthy.
I was going to say.
And I know that
I don't know if
you
Coach
eat a
will
lot
go
of
for
burgers.
that.
So
I like
there
it.
you go.
Am I staying for the next segment or not?
We have some photos of Coach Stotts. What do we have? I didn't know about this.
Yeah.
No, I know this is new, I think.
Yeah, it must have been. So
Let me see.
next segment.
I'm staying for the next segment.
okay.
Okay, I didn't come here just for 10 minutes.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a break here on Trailblazers Courtside. Coach Stotts will be back on the other side of the
Yeah, with photos.
Right, evidently. Head coaches in the NBA wouldn't know anything about that. They're indoors. They're indoors at practice.
Yes.
Watching film and.
If you do get a free day, do you go out and see the mountains, or what do you do?
Not much.
Not
much. I just kind of lay low.
Yeah.
But in the summer you do.
Oh, summer, yeah. But
summer.
I mean, awfully like yesterday.
Yeah.
I went for a walk and did some things around the house and watched some television. And
Yeah.
Good.
Jan cooked.
Did she?
Yeah.
We can go to Killer Burger now. She didn't have to tell her. What were these pictures?
We'll do that on date night.
Now, we had some pictures of you in some church lady. Now, these are now. Is this like what'd you say, a website or something?
This is on Tumblr. I don't know who is doing this, whether it's a man or a woman, but whoever it is very clever.
And these aren't like the same sheet.
That's Chinatown.
Yes.
Right.
Some of that's Oklahoma. That's when we played Oklahoma City. They kind of do it with when we play teams.
Yeah.
Oh, so
recently the passing of Spock.
Right. They did the eyebrows.
Some of the earlier ones, I don't. They've been doing this all season. Some of the earlier ones, they have a picture of me, Statue of Liberty.
You were like Ben Franklin in one.
Ben Franklin on one.
Now, does your wife get?
There's one.
Out of
My
that?
favorite. My favorite was one where they put my head on Arnold Schwarzenegger on Predator.
Yeah.
And with the guns.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can find that one. That's the one to show.
All right. Well, let's show you as Arnold.
That was when you guys scroll way down for that one.
Yeah.
The
No,
Fonz?
I didn't like the Fonz.
No, were you the Fonz as well?
Yeah.
Ken
I'm telling you what, it's an incredible. Whoever's doing it's pretty clever.
Now, what's your wife think of that?
She loves it.
She loves it.
Oh, she loves it.
Yeah, right.
She can't wait for the next one to come up.
Yeah.
Houston comes to town Wednesday. Always a tough battle, and as you know, you mentioned the matchup that Aaron has, and one of the reasons why the battles have always been so spirited was Wesley Matthews and James Harden. So Aaron Afflalo, though, has defended tough guys. He's defended Harden before. It just changes the matchup a little bit. But I got a feeling James Harden probably is not heartbroken that he will not see Wesley Matthews on Wednesday.
Probably not, but it's gonna have to be by committee. Aaron, Nick will probably get the majority of the minutes. Alonzo G could be on him some. Steve Blake guarded him last game. We do a lot of switching, so any of our perimeter guys could be on him at any point during the game.
How good Harden and Westbrook? How much better are they than previous years?
Well, part of it is obviously they've gotten better. Part of it is the opportunity has just opened up for them.
To have the ball all the
right.
time.
So now James goes from coming off the bench in Oklahoma City to being the guy, and he's just flourished in that role. Now, same thing with Russell Westbrook is that with Durant out in previous years, it took a while, but he's just all of a sudden he's just flourished in that role, and they're so different in what they do, but they're so effective in what they do.
Well, Oklahoma City have problems when Durant comes back. Everyone's hoping that's the case, but
yeah, that'd be nice if they dropped. If they dropped a few just while they're transitioning, that'd be fine. But I tell you, I don't see how you get any worse when you add a healthy Kevin Durant,
the reigning MVP.
There it is.
There.
Yeah. See, now that's See, I thought that looked like that was Throwback Thursday, right?
Yes.
Hashtag TBT.
Yes.
Well, that's my hashtag TBT.
All
Throwback
right.
Thursday.
They put their
a few years ago.
Actually, that's the Rambo one. That's not even the Predator one.
Oh,
There's
Rambo.
one before that one that's even better.
But that's not bad.
No, I'd take that.
All right.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Sorry for those of you listening on City Radio. You can watch the program a little later on. We talked about LaMarcus fighting through the torn thumb ligaments, and did you expect his shooting percentage to actually rise? Because that's where it is since he decided to play it out.
It's amazing. And, obviously the concern was that once he decided to come back, that he wouldn't re-injure it, that he would remain an effective player for us. But there was uncertainty. And then I think he came back for the Washington game, and that 4 or 5 game stretch where he first came back, just realized okay, it's going to be okay. Certainly, I don't think anybody would have predicted how well he would have played coming off that injury.
Speaking of things that surprise you, and after enough time in the league, there's not much that surprises you. But if I had told you that Damian Lillard would have 15 more rebounds than points in a game, you'd have probably said I was nuts. How crazy.
I would have said, how's he going to get 35 rebounds?
Right, exactly.
Right.
But to have 18 rebounds, struggling from the field like he was that night, that was crazy.
And I didn't even, obviously I knew he was rebounding the ball well, but, during the course of the game, I don't look at the individual, rebounding numbers per se, especially on the road because I can't find stuff in the arena.
Right.
But it just goes to show how invaluable he can be for us. Well, that he is for us. But look, he struggled. He wanted to shoot the ball well. He wanted to score. He wanted to do what he does well. But there was a point in the game where he said, just do whatever it takes. And I thought to do that from the point guard position was really incredible.
Yeah, to get him against a lineup like that, too. And clearly they had a few guys out. But a huge win, one of many when trailing by double digits. And I've asked you this several times this year, but you now have 15 wins when trailing by 10 or more. What do you chalk all that up to, besides belief?
Well, belief, competitiveness, talent. It's. I think there's a number of factors that go into it. Obviously, to have, first of all, getting down. I saw the numbers. We really haven't gotten down by 10 much more than any other team. But obviously, with 15 wins and having a winning record in those situations is remarkable. I really chalk it up to the character and talent of the players.
Well, that's usually the case, and
there we go.
Oh,
there we go. Now that's the one.
Dutch.
Yeah.
Yes, Dutch was on Predator. Yeah, that's a good one. There.
Yeah.
And he looks real young there.
Well, that was this year.
That was in college. That was in my college days.
Yeah. That was college days?
Yeah, that was college.
Yes.
And you were gunning up pretty good then.
Yeah.
So, well, Coach, thank you for the time as always. And you guys, I know, will have another good practice tomorrow. And again, try to acclimate. And we talked about Aaron Afflalo, and it seems like Alonzo G we've seen him play well, but he was kind of the forgotten guy. But he's been terrific too.
Well, he has. Am I still on?
Yeah, you are.
Sure. Okay.
He was just saying 30 seconds or so.
Oh, okay.
I was leaving you with a.
Yeah, no, Alonzo is he's contributed in the games. He's already made his mark in the games that he's gotten into.
Thanks for coming by the studio.
Always a pleasure.
Always like having you on, but it's always better to have you here.